Jinho came at Jinwoo with open arms and tears in his eyes. Jinwoo sidestepped him without breaking stride. Boos! Dodged again. In the background, the airport hadn't stopped. The constant dry percussion of camera shutters followed them everywhere, a sound like light rain on a tin roof that never let up. Reporters jostling for angle, flashes turning the terminal into something between a crime scene and a premiere. Jinchul watched with the expression of a man who'd been babysitting all morning. He held up the newspaper. Jinho had found out through a translated article the association interpreter had felt bad about being paid to do basically nothing, so she'd translated it for him. Jinwoo raised an eyebrow. Are you saying this guy read the article in English? The interpreter translated it. Ah. Jinho's nose had gone red. He tried once more. Jinwoo handed him a tissue. Here. Honk. Jinwoo understood how Jinho felt. The problem was his perception stat. So keen it let him feel Jinho's emotions like a second heartbeat, which made him emotional in turn. He focused on Jinchul to get some distance from it. When did you learn English, boss? I had a lot of time on my hands when I was a low-rank hunter. Basically jobless between raids, he'd picked up English to prepare for whatever came after hunting. He had never imagined his first real conversation in it would be with Thomas Andre. Jinho wiped his eyes and straightened up. Boss, I will always believe in you and follow you to the ends of the earth. His voice cracked. His nose started running again. Damn this keen perception stat. I guess he can go now? Jinwoo asked Jinchul, who confirmed Jinho's doctor had been shocked the injuries healed overnight. Then let's get him discharged. The Hunter Command Center has a car. I'll get ready, boss. Jinho packed with swollen eyes. Jinwoo watched him fondly. Glad you're safe. The cold anger was still there underneath, directed at whoever had arranged the whole thing. Greed, you know what to do when we go back to the hotel, right? Yes, my king. He comforted the shadow soldier by telling him it would only be 2 hours this time. 2 cars. Jinwoo joined Adam in the first. Jinho rode with Jinchul. Adam was asleep against the window, bags under his eyes. He startled awake. Oh, you're here, Hunter Sung. Jinwoo got straight to the point. Could I have a list of the hunters you'd like me to protect? Adam's face brightened, then dimmed when Jinwoo clarified he was just curious. Oh, the driver started the car. Jinwoo watched Adam's eyes keep snapping back open. He reached across the seat. Stay still. He covered Adam's eyes with one hand, tilted his head back and poured a healing potion into his mouth. The drowsiness dissolved. His body felt rested as if he'd slept 8 hours. Hunter Sung? Trade secret. Adam moved his arms experimentally, then, I feel like even if you weren't a hunter, you'd be successful at whatever you chose to do. Flattery that also made his next request easier. Could you also arrange a meeting with the hunters on the list? That would let him plant a shadow soldier in each of their shadows. Adam smiled. The last conference item was the Night of the Hunters. A party where he could meet everyone. Perfect. The banquet hall held 1,500 people. Jinho gawked at legends he'd only ever seen on television. Those same legends looked at Jinwoo. He's right in front of me, but I can't sense his presence at all. He really is on another level. So the person next to him is... He's the one Hunter Sung fought Thomas to rescue? The Hunter Command Center's statement that day had cleared the air on the incident. Hunters who'd feared Jinwoo as a monster who'd beaten Goliath were now seeing a man who had taken on the best guild in the world to rescue a D-rank colleague. Nobody who had read, I will protect my family, even if it means becoming an enemy of all hunters, was prepared to test it. A company chairman was first to approach, interested in purchasing giant-type magic beast cadavers. A rare opportunity. Jinwoo introduced him to Jinho. I'm usually in charge of raids. I let my vice president handle business matters. Jinho stuck out his chest. I'm Jinho Yoo, vice president of Arjun Guild. I don't usually like talking business under these circumstances, but I'll make an exception. He led the chairman somewhere quiet. That kid really is a real businessman now. Adam appeared with a tablet. The Hunter Command Center's top 10 hunters by performance points. Jigang, Thomas, Christopher Reed at the top. Jinwoo's name was absent when he asked. Adam put it between 3 and 4, including the giant raid points. Shorter career than anyone else in the top 5, and already that high. He noted the list. Then a noise rippled through the hall. Unexpected guest. Jinwoo spotted him, handed the tablet back to Adam, and said, "Don't worry." Thomas Andre strode toward him, arm bandaged. He stopped in front of Jinwoo and removed his sunglasses. "Hunter Jinwoo Sung, I'd like to ask you something." He raised the bandaged arm. "Healers told me they couldn't fix it. The magic power was too strong. There's a chance it won't fully recover." A pause. "You could have ended me along with everyone else in my guild." He'd been lying awake with this question. "Why did you let us live?" Jinwoo's answer seemed almost too simple. "None of you did anything to deserve death." Thomas had shown up to retrieve one of his own. They'd attacked first and paid for it. That was the conclusion. Thomas nodded slowly. "I see." He smiled, cautiously. "When my arm gets better, I'd like to have a meal with you. Leave your number with my manager." He put his sunglasses on, turned, and walked out. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Laura stayed behind and turned to Jinwoo. "My boss was expressing his gratitude for sparing his and the guild members' lives." Jinwoo had gotten exactly none of that from anything Thomas had said. He gets embarrassed quite easily. "Oh, okay." Laura pulled out a notebook, a token of appreciation, anything Jinwoo needed. He was about to decline when something occurred to him. The Scavenger Guild, clearing dungeons for years, the Demon Monarch's dagger and the enemies it couldn't penetrate. Maybe a useful dagger. Laura wrote it down with a wide smile and left. Adam exhaled. "Are you going to meet the other hunters?" "I should." "There's no need." Adam paused. "Why is there one hunter missing? I can't find number 6. "How did you know?" Jinwoo shrugged. "Another trade secret." The Brazilian government had been searching for days, no result. He turned to Adam. "Let's get started." He walked the hall from Zhigang Liu to number 10, shadow soldiers assigned one by one. The hunters not on his list had been watching hopefully. "He's coming this way." "Yes, of course I'm next." Heads dropped in disappointment when Jinwoo passed them by. Hunter number 10 cheered out loud. Others sulked and drank heavily. The next morning, the Hunter Command Center would puzzle over why alcohol consumption had been so high. "Tomorrow is the last day, right?" Connor patted Adam's shoulder. "Good job." "You don't need to mention it, sir." Connor asked what it had been like with Jinwoo. "Sir, Hunter Sung still works out every day. 10 kilometers of running, 100 push-ups." Connor's eyes went wide. "The most powerful hunter in the world, running laps." "Mental discipline, I think," Adam said. Connor nodded, feeling a twinge of jealousy about Korea having Jinwoo. He sipped his coffee, unusually bitter today. In Seoul, the Hunters Association lights were on late. President Gun-hee-go had had continuous heart palpitations lately. The doctor had told him he'd be dead within 6 months if he didn't retire, 2 years ago. He laughed at himself quietly. What's changed? Korea now had the power to stop an S-rank disaster. Jinwoo's existence had changed the country's standing. Maybe his heart had held out until now so he could meet Jinwoo. A bittersweet smile. "What kind of nonsense am I spouting? Ring!" His wife. "Are you busy tonight?" "Of course not. I'm heading home Static. The call cut out. He put the phone down and glanced out the window. Everything he should have seen, buildings, roads, people, was gone. Pitch black darkness, in the middle of Seoul, where a city had been a moment before. On his couch sat someone he'd never seen before. Pale as a corpse, long white hair, pointed ears, eyes like polished silver. An ice elf, but not like a dungeon specimen. If ordinary ice elves were individual trees, this was the ancient tree that had guarded a forest for thousands of years. Skin like bark, weary eyes. He hadn't sensed it enter, hadn't sensed it sit down. He reached for his phone. This place has been completely isolated from the outside world. No signal. He set the phone down. Am I dreaming? Then the creature pointed at him, a flash of pain, and he found a frost-covered laceration on his left shoulder. Cold had sealed it. No blood. Did you dream up that pain as well? He nodded firmly. I understand that this is real. Who are you? I shouldn't have expected a mere human to recognize me. It rose. Every piece of furniture, couch, table, everything, slammed into the walls. Cold air crept from the floor. I don't mess around with weaklings. Show yourself, fragment of luminosity. Now. The power gap was clear. Gunhee's forehead was cold with sweat. Are you concerned about damaging your vessel? But this vessel will expire soon in any regard. It raised its palms. I suppose there is no use continuing this conversation. A blast of frozen air filled the room with white fog. Two golden eyes emerged from the shroud. Gunhee deflected the second blast. The wall crumbled into endless black void. A powerful golden aura surrounded him. "You've confined us in between dimensions. Impressive." The creature smiled. "Finally, we meet, O bright fragment of luminosity. We've located all 7 of you. 2 of the fragments have already been destroyed." It savored his reaction. I've always wanted to see panic on that arrogant face. "You can try, Frost Monarch. You've only borrowed that human's body, while I've taken over this form completely. Do you really think you stand a chance?" The clash of hot and cold produced explosions. Krakoom, boom, kaboom. Gunhee's attacks slowed with every exchange. In this extreme chill, his frail body could last 2 minutes. He exhaled white breath and knew it. The Frost Monarch had proclaimed the outcome from the start. An ice spear from its fingertips pierced him through the chest. "Ack! Is that all your vessel can handle, fragment of luminosity? How pathetic." It gazed down at him. "Our army has already arrived. Everything in this world will be gone before the ruler's soldiers can arrive. Did you consider us inconsequential and forget about us?" It raised its other hand to deliver the killing blow. Ah! The monarch stayed its hand. Gunhee, bloody-mouthed, was laughing. He seized the monarch by the wrist. "Did you think I picked a meaningless fight with you? Just as we weren't aware of your plan, we have a contingency you know nothing about." He channeled everything he had left into one blast at the dimensional wall. The force of it burned his own right arm as it shot past the monarch's face, barely dodged, and struck the barrier. Kaboom! Cracks spread from the impact. The monarch looked at them, puzzled. Tearing down the wall between dimensions changes nothing. The spirit within the old man smirked. "Do you really think so?" Crash! The barrier shattered. Soul came flooding back. Buildings, cars, light, people. The moment the world returned, Gunhee unleashed his last energy and cried to the floor. "Now!" A shadow detached from beneath him, took the shape of an ant, and hurled itself screaming out the broken window. Scrah! The Frost Monarch stared after it. A single ant, a foot soldier. Then its eyes went wide. No! The ruler had been conserving energy the entire fight. The breaking of the barrier had been for exactly this reason. It gave chase. Cold air formed an ice sickle. Within striking distance in an instant, then someone grabbed its wrist in a death grip, and a hand closed around its throat. Jinwoo was hovering 8 stories up using ruler's authority, where the shadow soldier had just been. He looked at the creature he was holding. An ice elf? Ice elves. The Red Gate. Barker, whose shadow he'd failed to extract. Just when I was getting over that. He tightened his grip. Crack! Ah! But the creature made an extraordinary show of strength and broke free. Cold energy gathered inside its mouth. The image of Balan flashed in his mind, and his body moved on instinct. Wah! Frozen air shot past his ear. He put distance between them. This was no ordinary magic beast. His perception was saying this was stronger than anyone he'd ever fought. But grip strength modest, physical defense modest, magic output extraordinary. Mage type. 1 hit inside the range was usually all it took. The Frost Monarch dusted ice off its shoulder, then looked into Jinwoo's shadow. Then up. It couldn't hide its shock. "How did you have amassed such an army? Why haven't we heard from you?" Jinwoo said nothing. The monarch looked into his eyes and slowly let out a sound of comprehension. "I see, so you're the contingency." His shoulder, frozen for only a moment, was still throbbing. He reached into inventory and drew the demon monarch's daggers. The sound they made, leaving the scabbard, was low and clean. A thin metallic note that started sharp and faded into something almost like hunger, the way a drawn blade rings differently when it intends to be used. The Frost Monarch heard it. Its eyes moved to the weapons. The Frost Monarch reached a decision. "We are done here. I'm not interested in a fight to the death." It pointed to the broken window at the Hunters Association. "Aren't you here to save the human back there?" Jinwoo's gaze shifted. President Go was barely moving through the window. "Choose." The monarch materialized a large ice spear. "Fight me or save him." It launched the spear. Ruler's authority, he tried to stop it telekinetically. The weapon's magic power repelled the effort. Enraged, he bit his lip hard and dashed. Worm! He appeared beside President Go an instant before impact and knocked the spear off trajectory. The tip drove into the floor. Cold air spread from the point, and the entire floor froze solid in seconds. He grabbed President Go and lifted them both to escape the ice. When the freezing stopped, he set them down. Through the window, the Frost Monarch sprinting for a small gate. Angry at the dirty trick, Jinwoo pulled Barker's dagger from inventory and threw it. Shh! The blade lodged in the Monarch's shoulder. Ugh! It looked at the dagger, then at Jinwoo, gnashed its teeth, and vanished into the gate. He let it go. President Go was the priority. Ugh! Too far gone for a healing potion. He had one other option. Beru. A familiar presence hurtled toward him. Krakoom! Beru crashed through several walls and arrived at speed. You called, my liege. Jinwoo laid President Go down and stepped back. His hands were stained red. Beru applied everything he had. The complexion stayed pale. His hands trembled. Sire, my magic isn't working. I cannot heal him. Jinwoo stopped the ant and checked President Go himself. The ice spear's damage was beyond healing magic. In desperation, he pulled out the elixir of life. A hand closed around his wrist. That's enough. President Go? Gunhee opened his eyes with enormous effort. He looked up at Jinwoo and Beru. You came. Thank you. A smile through the blood. Please hang on. I'll take you to a hospital. It's a waste of time. Healing magic can't reverse what the attack did. President Go. He stopped when a trembling hand found his. Listen carefully. His eyes opened wide, a fire flaring before it went out. I have seen the will of the great existence. Their plans, their enemies, as well as ours, and what we need to do. Blood filled his mouth. I'm so glad that we have you. Who knew you possessed that kind of power? Thank God. Tears. He held Jinwoo's hand in both of his. The gates and dungeons weren't for them. They chose those to protect us. He coughed dark red blood. Jinwoo reached for the elixir. President Go shook his head. He knew his condition better than anyone. Someday, you'll have to make a choice. When that time comes, please stay on the side of humans. The pain in his voice was something Jinwoo could only listen to. I wanted to fight alongside youngsters like you, but with this body, that was never possible. Quietly, without bitterness. Still, I have no regrets. I leave the future in the hands of young people like you. His hand released Jinwoo's and fell. His gaze drifted to the ceiling, and he blinked. The lights looked particularly bright through whatever was in his eyes. I'm so relieved. Thank you, thank you. He said no more. Jinwoo gently closed his eyes. He had never looked more peaceful. The rain came through the broken window. Next day's headlines, everywhere at once. Jonas, the great Brazilian hunter, found dead near a river. The president of the Hunters Association of Korea, dead of a gaping hole in his chest. Jinwoo Sung had returned to Korea. The Hunters Association released security footage. The reaction was instantaneous. Oh my God! A magic beast outside a dungeon, killing a top hunter, all on camera. The public terror was total. 3 days after landing, Jinwoo visited the association. Jinchul entered the waiting room looking like he hadn't slept since they'd landed. He asked before anything else, "Why did you withhold some of the footage?" The footage stopped at the Frost Monarch's face, not the part showing Jinwoo or Beru in the office. Jinchul scratched his head. The safety of hunters is the association's #1 priority. We decided it is not our place to reveal the skills you chose to keep hidden. His eyes went red. If President Go were alive, he would have made the same decision. No wonder you looked so grave on the plane. Jinchul looked at the floor. Was the magic beast too powerful? When I arrived, President Go was already... Jinchul lowered his head. I'm sorry, a pause. What did he say? Before he passed? He said he was relieved, that there were young people like me to take care of the future. Jinchul's eyes filled. He wiped them. Thank you for being with him at the end. Jinwoo's voice went flat. I'm going to kill the magic beast who took President Go's life, whatever it takes. The aura wasn't aimed at Jinchul, but it pressed down like a physical weight. He found it hard to breathe. Jinwoo dialed it back. So please save your thanks for later. Understood. Oh, I haven't asked why you've come. Can you arrange a press conference? The venue was mobbed. First press conference. Every reporter there. A group of highly intelligent magic beasts is targeting the top hunters. Stronger than any hunter, willing to use any means necessary. Before attacking, they trap their target between dimensions. He was the only person who could share that detail. If you think you might be a target, stick close to colleagues who can protect you. But, if you don't have anyone, I can be reached through the Hunters Association of Korea. He was also setting traps. Hunters who were potential targets would draw monarchs. When one moved, he'd be ready. Where did you get this information? I've encountered them in the past. Twice. King of Giants. Frost Monarch. So you came away unscathed? His eyes gleamed. Yes. Kashak, Kashak, Kashak! From farther back, a hand went up. Mr. Kim, the reporter who had followed Jinchul to the double dungeon and written about the hunters who gave their lives there. He lowered his hand and asked with a clear voice, "What will you do if you encounter the magic beast who killed President Go?" Jinwoo looked at Mr. Kim's expression, furious and devastated both at once. He turned off the mic. That's all for now. He stepped off the stage. Mr. Kim watched him walk away and felt, somehow, that he'd heard the answer. In the Scavenger Guild basement, Thomas and Laura passed through 2 fingerprint scanners. Laura's mouth closed. Thomas stood before the case. They amaze me, every time. There are only 2 of these in the whole world. That's exactly why I'm giving them to him. 8 years since they'd been forged. The energy hadn't diminished. The best weapons for the best hunter. You wouldn't want them to just rot in here, would you? As if in response, the 2 daggers gleamed in their case. A certain gloom hung over Seoul. Streets filled with candlelit vigils. Footage of President Go played on every screen. On a digital billboard, him addressing a congressman, years ago. You may be able to buy a condo worth $1 million, but you cannot buy a life. Walk signals changed. Not one pedestrian moved. His longtime doctor appeared in an interview, eyes already red. He told me he wouldn't regret dying as his greatest wish had come true. Little did I know we would lose him this way. He broke down. Later, Jinwoo stood at the top of Daesung Tower, 100 stories up. The lights of Seoul spread below him. A documentary about President Go played on a large outdoor monitor. His shadows combed the city and found nothing. No trace of the ancient ice slayer. He'd tried to plant a shadow on the creature before it escaped. Impossible. It had no shadow. The King of Giants had told him why. Monarchs and rulers had astral bodies and couldn't become shadow soldiers. No shadow, no tracking method. But that doesn't matter. They would return for him sooner or later. He paused on a different thought. Something odd about his recent enemies. Did I receive any system warnings during the fights with Dongsu Huang or Thomas Andre? He went back through it. Dongsuk Huang, Taisik Kang, Chul Kim, Ryuji Goto during a sparring match, warned every time. But Thomas had wanted to kill him. He'd sensed the murderous intent clearly. The system had stayed silent. He took out his phone. 1 in the morning in Korea. Daytime on the East Coast. Ring! I didn't think you would contact me first, Mr. Sung. There's something I want to ask you. That day we fought, were you really aiming to kill me? Thomas hesitated. I can't think straight when I'm mad, so I really did want to kill you back then. Mr. Sung, why don't we talk about something awesome I've prepped? Click. The system no longer warned him of hostile enemies. A huge departure from the beginning, when urgent quests had forced him to confront attackers or threatened to stop his heart. But he recognized the trade-off. When Thomas surrendered, he'd been able to stop. He couldn't have done that under an urgent quest. More free will, less certainty. He shook his head and set clear goals. 1. Kill the Frost Monarch. 2. Gather information on the others. He'd placed shadows with hunters. When a monarch came for one, he'd have his opening. For his own preparation, Japan, where dungeon breaks had left magic beasts establishing territories. Consistent, high-value experience. His phone buzzed. Thomas, Mr. Sung, could you call me again? We still have a lot to discuss. Jinwoo smiled despite himself. He texted back, sure, but later. He would steadily increase his level. Handle enemies the same way he always had. There was a spring in his step as he descended. The Frost Monarch's ice cave. 4 monarchs appeared. 3 men, 1 woman. Cold enough to freeze human blood, but that wasn't the chill in the atmosphere. The Shadow Monarch is here, it explained what had transpired. Silence. Didn't you tell us there were no vessels strong enough? The King of Wild Dragons couldn't find one either. I saw him with my own eyes. 2 who had been on Jeju Island agreed. He represents a bigger threat than the fragments of luminosity. I shall eliminate him. Will you help me? The others were unmoved. Fighting the Shadow Monarch would be suicide. Wouldn't it be better to wait for the King of Wild Dragons? How long will we drag our feet? If we want to eliminate him, the best time is while he's still human. One monarch withdrew. I will not participate. Another vanished, remembering Balan. I do not want to end up like the Monarch of Lightning. Cowards! 3 remained. A hulking figure turned to it. Where is the evidence that he's still human? As if awaiting exactly this moment, the Frost Monarch produced the dagger Jinwoo had thrown. A green substance clung to the blade. He applied poison, Manticore poison. The cave went quiet. Not the silence of agreement, the silence of something clicking into place. They had all seen the wound in the Frost Monarch's shoulder. They had assumed. But Manticore poison was beneath the Monarch's notice. Useless against their kind, corrosive only against ordinary denizens of chaos. It was the move of someone who had thought about it. Someone who understood the difference between enemies and had chosen accordingly. Someone who was still learning. The Shadow Monarch did not learn. He simply was. Ineffective against monarchs, yes, but it would rot the skin of an ordinary denizen of chaos on contact. A detail-oriented, clever move, not the Shadow Monarch's style, clear evidence of a human in control. Are you with me? The 2 remaining monarchs exchanged glances. Eventually, I will help you. Let us kill the Shadow Monarch. The Frost Monarch resolved to instill true fear in the human who had wounded it, and smiled.